of the Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture to order. Before we start, will everyone please rise for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Carpenter. Senator Deneen.
Here.
Senator Funky Fromeyer. Senator Nunn.
Here.
Senator Reed.
Here.
Senator Richardson.
Here.
Senator Webb. Senator Wilson. Senator Yates. Senator Boswell. And Chairman Howe.
Here.
We have a quorum.
A couple of house cleaning before. We have a couple of groups with us today. I'd like to welcome the Agribusiness Industry Network and the Kentucky Agribusiness Association. We talk about agriculture all too often in terms of producers, but it's all the agribusinesses to make our whole economic engine go for agriculture. And we appreciate y'all being here. I'd like to give them a round of applause and make them welcome. Anyone else have any guests that they would like to introduce? Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got with me today my county judge from Shelby County, Dan Eisen, and his deputy judge, John Park. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Deneen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a guest with us today from my district, Toshi Muro. She is here representing some of the animal welfare groups in our county, and she's also a wonderful city council member.
Thank you. Senator Frankie Fromeyer, I believe you have a guest.
Yes, I have leaders here from our Campbell County Animal Shelter, as well as Commissioner Bessiker and Deputy Judge Executive Justin Otto, I think. Yes.
Thank you. Couple things. We have one bill on the agenda today. It's my Senate Bill 122. Couple of notes on this. We only have 30 minutes for ag this year, which sometimes isn't a problem and sometimes is, but we have to stay on point and on schedule for this, especially since I have to wrap this up and give plenty of time for member questions. And we have 3 members of our committee that have another committee after that, so I have to make sure I wrap this up. We've got 3 groups that have come in wanting to talk about this today that have already discussed this with me. A couple of other things on this before we go into this. I don't know that I see Jason Underwood. Are you here? Or whoever's, would you come? Would you can come forward while I'm talking about this. Couple of things on this. I had introduced this bill last year as well. Go ahead and take a seat while I'm finishing. I want to talk a little bit about where we are on this process and where I think we want to go. My goal in bringing this bill was to balance out protecting private business rights from overreach, what I viewed as overreach, while still preserving as much local control on how businesses operate that we can preserve for the communities. I filed this bill early, expecting to get a bunch of discussion on it, and other than Lena Muldoon, I really didn't have much in the way of outreach on this until last week, and I appreciate that input. I think there are some very valid concerns that have been brought to the table on this that I plan to address if we do pass this out of committee today. In the terms of a floor amendment, I'm not going to push to bring this to the floor until some of my concerns have been addressed in a floor amendment. And thanks to Lena and her groups and some others that I'll reach out to for input on this. Specifically, I want to address solidifying how we define a qualified breeder and how all that's identified. I want to define local authority and clarifying how they can monitor things. I think a lot of this is implicit in the bill, but I think we would all be better served if this was spelled out more completely. And also implicit in this, I'd like to define is where the fees and the fines go. And it's my plan to take that to define what I think it implies that goes back to the local authorities. And then I wanted to spell out better some rights in Section 4 of this statute around prohibit. I read that to mean that localities can just not outright ban stores from operating this way. And I want to clarify that is the intent of this statute. And however locals decide to monitor this and enforce this by local ordinances is completely up to them. I think that's something that we need to stay out of. But what some of the things that have bothered me is it goes too far in on this to do an outright ban on operation. So I look forward to working with the local ordinance groups in the city and KLC to work through that in the next couple of days for a floor amendment. I'm not going to promise you that I'll go along with everything you want, but I do need your input and welcome your input, and I look forward to working through that with you. That being said, we have our first presenters up. Will you introduce yourself for the record and then begin?
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, proceed, please.
Okay, my name's Elizabeth Kunzelman. I'm representing Petland. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. I am Vice President of Legislative and Public Affairs at Petland, and I'm here today to speak in strong support of Senate Bill 122, which is also supported by the AKC and the Pet Advocacy Network. At Petland, we are fully committed to raising the standards of pet care and sales throughout the state, which is why we're proposing legislation that increases and standardizes the welfare of pets in pet stores across Kentucky. It is essential we achieve this through proper due process, ensuring that the businesses which comply with the laws and maintain high standards of care are not unfairly targeted or shut down without a chance to provide their perspective. I represent 3 Petland stores in Kentucky, which together have served our communities for over 45 years. Our Ashland location has been around for 37 years, Florence has been in operation for 8 years, and our newest location in Lexington has quickly become a community favorite, coming in second place in Best of Lexington in just 3 years. Each of these businesses has earned an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, reflecting our commitment to ethical practices, quality customer service, and adherence to the highest industry standards. Obviously, we face some significant challenges in recent years as animal activist groups have targeted our operations in an attempt to shut us down. These groups often rely on incomplete or inaccurate information, painting a false picture of our practices and hindering fair decision making. We have always been an open book and always extended an open invitation to city councils, to state legislators, to city government, offering transparency by sharing our business records, facilitating tours of our breeders, tours of our stores, but our offers have been completely ignored. Most recently, in both Louisville and Lexington, we were denied the opportunity to testify or share information in the decision-making process. We were told the ordinances were a foregone conclusion and there really wasn't anything we could do about it. This lack of engagement is particularly troubling in a democracy that should value transparency. At its core, this bill, Senate Bill 122, represents a balanced, sensible approach that addresses concerns about irresponsible breeding while protecting the rights and livelihoods of independent, law-abiding pet retailers. It's critical to recognize the role of the state is to establish and enforce economic policies that ensure fairness. Allowing local governments to impose bans based on incomplete or misleading information fragments the market and undermines the state's ability to set uniform standards. Overreaching policies have unintended consequences. We had a franchisee that signed a lease, moved his manager and their family here, and were getting ready to open a store in Louisville when the ban got passed. That was $1 million investment that they eventually picked up and took to Indiana. So there are unintended consequences. Our proposal encourages collaboration between state and local authorities. We understand the need for local control, and we welcome that. We This bill allows localities to require specific documentations on pet sales. They can mandate regular inspections. They can enforce licensing requirements. This approach ensures that only responsible, transparent businesses are operating. Kentuckians deserve the right to choose where they find their family pet. In today's digital age, banning pet store sales does not stop the flow of puppies and kittens from reaching consumers. Instead, such bans merely drive pet purchases online or through less regulated channels, where accountability is far more difficult to enforce. This not only jeopardizes consumer safety, but also undermines the well-established protections and standards that brick-and-mortar establishments have put in place. And we've seen across the country what's happening to some brick-and-mortars. We're seeing a lot of closures. So I think it's important to try to keep these businesses open. Senate Bill 122 offers a path forward that respects both the need for effective regulation and the rights of independent businesses. By supporting statewide regulation that sets clear, consistent standards, we can protect against unethical breeding practices without punished, legal, responsible operators. Our proposal is not about eliminating local authority. It is about ensuring that decisions are based on facts, comprehensive information, rather than incomplete testimonies. And it's not just about pet stores. It's about protecting Kentucky's business climate from unpredictable, politically motivated local bans that shut down businesses. In conclusion, I urge you to consider the far-reaching impacts of local bans on responsible businesses, consumer choice, and the overall economic health of Kentucky. Senate Bill 122 provides a balanced, thoughtful alternative, one that promotes transparency, accountability, and a free market while effectively addressing concerns about breeding practices. For the protection of our industry and our local economies and the rights of our consumers, I respectfully urge you to vote in favor of Senate Bill 122. Thank you.
Would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, please. Senator Howell, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Mehek, like what the heck. Last name is Cook, and I'm strongly asking for the passage of Senate Bill 122. And I come from this in a different manner and a different angle. I not only work with Petland today, but I was assistant legal counsel to Governor Kasich in Ohio when we advocated for the passage of a anti-puppy mill bill. We were absolutely trying to push for consumer support and advocacy in addition to safeguarding small businesses. I was then the general counsel at the Department of Agriculture, and I was on the enforcement side. So I was able to see what a puppy mill was and what safe, responsible breeding was. And I wanted to make sure that we were doing the best we could do for the pet industry and small businesses. And that's why I'm proud to sit with Petland today. I believe that they have worked to advance ethical breeding practices and to ensure that they're complying with all federal laws and state laws. They're the first industry I have worked with that has actually told state and local government, please regulate us. We are transparent, we want to be open for business, and we want to partner with you. This bill specifically establishes accountability through civil penalties. Petland has told locals and state governments across the country and here in Kentucky today, regulate us, and if we're not following local control or state laws, you have the ability to pass civil penalties. What I see critical in Senate Bill 122 is a couple portions. First of all, the Kentucky Revised Code 258-195 specifically gives locals the authority to contact animal control. In fact, it says they shall, which means locals already have the opportunity to contract with animal control and ensure that all of these safeguards that we are requesting here today are currently enforced. There's a framework that policies need to be enacted within local municipalities, and we have welcomed that. Every time we've gone to a local government, we have said, you have the authority, please fine us, please ask for our records, we're here to be transparent today. So local control is there. Secondly, there's the Attorney
Ms.
General.
Cook, I hate to do this, but we're on a tight timeline. Can you wrap up in just a couple of sentences? I want to make sure we have time for members and
Absolutely. I just want to also stress that your Attorney General today has the ability and oversight. If there are consumer complaints, you can go and file a complaint with the Attorney General's office and the Department of Agriculture. We're asking to remain open in business as long as we follow all the local and state ordinances. So we're actually opening transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming in. Do any members have any questions? With not Senator Fromeyer.
Yes, so we are concerned, in Campbell County in particular, we've got a very good leadership with our county, with our local ordinances. How will this change affect their ability to work with breeders, as they have put in some good ordinances? But it sounds like perhaps it's tightening those too tight. And the USDA standards, I'm not sure, are as quality as we would like here in Kentucky.
Well, that's a great question. This bill actually increases standards higher than USDA. We will not purchase if there's violations in 2 consecutive years from any breeder, and we actually welcome working with locals. So this isn't actually changing anything to do with locals. We're just saying, don't shut us down overnight. Regulate us, pass more bills, give us civil penalties. We will abide by all of your rules and regulations. What's happening across the country, and unfortunately in several places here in Kentucky, is overnight we've seen our businesses closed without due process. So we're asking for locals to partner with us. And if you want to pass additional ordinances, we're asking you to do that. Increase civil penalties, and we'll work with you. Just don't shut us down without any type of process to have a notice of violation or a citation or a visit. And that's what's happening today, unfortunately. So it sounds like Campbell County, we wouldn't have an issue there. We would continue working with you. And if you want stricter guidelines, we welcome that.
Thank you. If you don't mind stepping aside, we've got a couple of groups that are wanting to speak. Kentucky League of Cities had asked to speak briefly on this. Mr. Cheney, if you'll move forward. While you're doing that, there's a couple of house cleaning measures. We have a committee sub on this. Do I have a motion to adopt the committee sub? A motion by Senator Webb. Is there a second? Second by Senator Richardson. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Committee subs passed. I just want to direct the members' attention. There were 3 pieces of material that were submitted by the different groups in opposition to that. Those are in your packets, and that's a lot of what I was referencing in my opening comments about some concerns that I think are very valid and need to be addressed from local animal control benefit standpoint. And also there is a local mandate in there. I'll just bring that to y'all's attention. Otherwise, I know I don't have to tell you this, but I need to for the record anyway. Please identify yourself for the record, and if you can hold it to just a couple minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir, Chairman Howell. I appreciate the opportunity. I think this is a rare occasion for me to be in Senate Agriculture Committee, usually in the City Committee. I do appreciate you all giving us the opportunity. No surprise here for the League. If one thing it is, we are consistent, which is protecting the ability for local decisions to be made at the local level. We've got 5 cities and 1 county, county government, as I understand it, that have ordinances on the books that this would affect. Certainly, we want to protect that ability to have that local debate, just like you all do in legislative committees, and for local legislative bodies to be able to make these decisions locally. And we want to protect that, and we want to register that very consistent opinion. Also, I understand too, this may be the subject of pending litigation, perhaps in Fayette Circuit Court. I think if that's the case, generally, I believe the legislature's taken a tact of allowing litigation to proceed before addressing legislative matters. So I'd point that out. But again, this just boils down to the fundamental belief of our organization that local decisions are best made at the local level. And as a result, the KLC Board of Directors voted to oppose the position on this bill.
Thank you. We have one quick question, please, from Senator Webb, and then we need to move on to our others.
I just want to say my son, the mayor, and I may have different views on this, and I've gone to other cities that have livestock and other things, from carriage horses on, to be legislated by a motion. and not science, not data, because HSUS and other groups are targeting cities now because we're kind of onto them. And, you know, we have a huge state investment in Louisville. And if the pet sales can be banned, then agriculture activities can be banned. And that would be very detrimental to the state bottom line. I have a pet land in my district. I appreciate the city's stance on this, but again, my son, the mayor, and I may have to disagree. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I have a feeling who's going to win that disagreement, but I'll give him a fair shake anyway. Mr. Cheney, thank you as always.
Thank you, Chairman.
Next group, Colleen Bray, I believe, is speaking for a group. If you'll make your way up, please. If you have anybody that's coming with you, they're welcome to come too. Sit, if you'll pull you up a chair, introduce yourself for the record, and you can begin, but we're going to need about 4 or 5 minutes is it. Thank you.
My name's Colleen Bray.
Can you turn your microphone on and kind of pull it closer to you so we can hear you? Thank you.
I think I'm on. Am I on? No? I'm green. Now I'm on. Okay. My name's Colleen Bray. I'm here on behalf of Kentucky Animal Care and Control Association, as well as Boone County. I am the director of Boone County Animal Services. I'm here with my other board members for Kentucky Animal Control.
My name is Mike McNutt. I'm president of the Kentucky Animal Care and Control Association and director of Hardin County Animal Care and Control.
I'm Lisa Crumman. I'm the director of Campbell County Animal Services and the treasurer for Kentucky Animal Care and Control.
I'm Zach Cotton, and I am representing CACA vice president, and I am the director at Anderson County Animal Care and Control.
Chairman Howell and members of the committee, I thank you for the opportunity to voice our concerns and really speak to how we feel this could potentially affect us and the jobs that local government does. In your packets, you'll find a letter from Kentucky Animal Care and Control Association, and this letter basically outlines our concerns with Senate Bill 122. To quote the letter, as the bill is currently written, there's no way for animal control agencies to verify the source of a qualified breeder, nor does it really define who will be responsible for enforcing the law. Additionally, you'll find a letter from the National Animal Control Association, and they really echo our concerns with the way the bill is written, as well as restricting local authority to enforce our current regulations. Boone County found it necessary, while we do not have any type of ban on pet stores, we found it necessary in 2020 to establish increased regulations on pet stores, primarily due to a report and it being founded that a well-known pet store was not only selling sick puppies, but exposing consumers to some zoonotic diseases. There really was no regulation that stated that they needed to alert their consumers that they had these issues that are common in young puppies and cats. So one of the regulations that we put in place is that they do need to alert when those situations are found. We did not find that the pet stores wanted to be very transparent with their records and following regulations. That was not our experience. This legislation doesn't address the care and the condition of the animals while in the custody of those retailers, nor does it offer any transparency for its consumers, and that's one of our main concerns, as well as those of us who do have either bans or legislation in place that they have decided has been proven to be right for their communities.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm going to need to wrap this up.
Okay.
We have one member question on this, and
Sure.
then I want to move forward with the vote. Senator Webb.
Through the years, I've kept up with y'all and your training, and who sponsors most of your training, and who conducts most of your training for your association in the state?
For Kentucky Animal Care and Control, we have a whole host of people who support us. There are a lot of national organizations, but we also have all of our local. So we invite the Department of Agriculture.
I'm not talking about the state entities. I'm talking about rescues, shelters, networks, out-of-state people who cooperate with you, who furnish you and other shelters pet supplies and take puppies to the Northeast where these bans have been implemented. How many your sponsors are out-of-state entities that are related to rescues and shelters?
I mean, we have several. We have the National Animal Care and Control Association supports us. Best Friends Animal Society supports us. HSUS does. The A does. We've invited.
And okay, you said the magic word. HSUS supports your training. Is that correct? The Humane Society of the United States.
Yes, along with
and
many
they
of them.
finance your training, and they cooperate with you, and they come down here and get our dogs and take them to areas that have implemented these bans because they have dog shortages.
I don't know
correct?
I don't know of any local organizations, local animal control associations that have an agreement with any of the national organizations to come get dogs.
Well,
Nobody comes to me and gets my dogs.
I'm sorry, Senator Webb, but we need one more question.
Well, the Humane Society of the United States does in their writings and books, and some of their directors have indicated that they actually think animal ownership is servitude, and that any recreational use of and they would like to do away with breeders. Isn't that really the crux of the HSUS agenda?
I can't speak to what their agenda is. Our agenda is making sure that our local entities, our breeders, our agricultural industry is supported, and that we have responsible ordinances that support those and the animals in our community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. In interest of time, I think that we need to wrap this up. Just a couple of comments. Thank you for your time, and thank you for bringing all of this up. And then, some of the things that you talked about are not in the bill, I think are purposeful, because I think that the arena is better suited for local people to make the decisions about what is important in those areas. You mentioned the condition of animals at these stores, and that's one of the things I want to work with to make sure we get the language right to allow local ordinances and the local authorities to be able to come in and properly assess that. At this point, I would ask for a vote. Please signify your. I need a motion on the bill. Thank you. Motion by Senator Boswell, second by Senator Webb. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Aye. Senator Carpenter. Aye. Senator Deneen.
Explain my vote.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I'm a no vote. I do want to say that I have spoken with the chairman, and I'm very appreciative of the committee subs and the language that he has incorporated in some of this to clarify and to clean up some of my concerns in the bill. I still have some concerns about the back end of the bill when it comes to regulating and what those fines look like, and how that looks across the Commonwealth. I do appreciate the chairman's and this committee's attempts to make a statewide regulation here. As we go across the Commonwealth, we have a lot of hodgepodgey and kind of different rules and regulations, and we want to do something that kind of blankets that and puts that under an umbrella. But again, I still think there's some more work to do on this bill, and I do look forward to seeing a floor amendment added to this. If this bill does go forward today, I look forward to seeing some of those regulations tightened up on the back end of this to make sure that we have qualified breeders that are operating, and that we can kind of put a stranglehold on some of these puppy mills and that are operating within the Commonwealth. So at this time, I am a no.
Senator Funky Fromeyer.
Mr. Chairman, I have to explain my no vote.
Sure.
I do feel very strongly in the good work that's happening in Campbell County, and I'm concerned about that lack of, or rather the control that's taken from the strong leadership that I'm seeing in I shouldn't just say Campbell, I'll also acknowledge Pendleton and Bracken. and Kenton. So I have to be a no, but I'm hopeful that in order to meet the needs, that we can get this changed.
Senator Nunn,
Mr. Chairman, explain my yes vote.
Yes, please.
I understand the concerns with this bill, concerns against it. Animal welfare, very important. Local control, something near and dear to me, also very important. But as a small business owner, I understand what it's like to sign a lease or get a mortgage, invest in a lot of capital, and I can't imagine someone that's operating in the same space as me being irresponsible, resulting in the loss of my ability to operate my small business. So I have concerns there as well. And also, as someone who's worked for an agency who does a great job throughout the state, competing with people who aren't necessarily doing a good job, I understand the importance of statewide controls to make sure that everyone's a good actor in the space. So I do have concerns on both sides of this, but because I trust this legislative process and Senator Howe to continue to work to make this bill better, I'm voting yes. We can move the process forward, and again, trusting that process to get us to a good result.
Senator Reed, Senator Richardson, Senator Webb,
Explain my yes vote. I proudly vote yes for animal ownership, property rights, and purebred dogs.
Senator Wilson, Senator Yates, and Chairman Howe.
Aye. This bill having 5 aye votes and 5 nay votes, it fails for passage. Thank you to everybody that has come through to do this. With no further business before the committee, we stand adjourned.